everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the Love Shreveport podcast, where we are sitting down with a great conversation with our mayor, Mayor Arceneaux. How are you doing today, Mr. Mayor?
I'm doing very well. Very well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, we thank you again for your time and this opportunity to just have a little conversation with you. First of all, we just want to ask your feelings of your first year of being a mayor. How's it gone this first year?
Well, I think in all it's gone very well. Kind of what I expected. Some things are not the way that I quite expected. Some things are a little more difficult. Some things are a little easier. It was a little more difficult, I think, to set up the office physically and then to get the team in place. It took us 5 or 6 months to get our full team in place, and I think that slowed us down a little bit in terms of getting things done that we wanted to do. And we also had a number of crises that came up in the first 6 months. I felt like I got a lesson in crisis management from January through about July. And but that was a good thing because it really got my feet on the ground and allowed me to be a better mayor.
Awesome. So within this first year, you've had some accomplishments. We're going to talk about some of those in particular, but what do you think is your biggest accomplishment within this first year?
Toward the end of the year, and with the way that we presented the budget, we did the budget in two ways that are different than the budget that has been done in the past. Number one, it is a current balanced budget, meaning that we're starting the year and we're only spending dollars that we're taking in this year. In 24, we're only spending dollars that we take in 24. And that's called a current balanced budget. So we're not using up revenues that were saved as part of the operating reserve to subsidize city operations. It's a very fundamental principle to me, and I think it's very important. The second thing we did was to put in budget decision packages that were the things that we decided that we couldn't do within the priorities that we had, that we would have liked to do had we had more revenues. And so as we go through the budget process and amendments are made, we'll be looking at those things to see how we might change the budget to make sure that very first principle of a current fiscal year balanced budget will be met, because that's the most important principle that we have in our budget process.
And so even with those accomplishments, as we get into some particulars, something happened with the noise ordinance. Please share as it relates to the noise ordinance.
Well, the noise ordinance is probably one of the more controversial things that we had during the year, particularly as it pertains to downtown. And ultimately, after months of discussion and some issues with some downtown establishments, we were able to come up with a compromise of sorts among the council members. I would have preferred a little lower level than what they chose, but I think this is a level we can work with, and hopefully this will resolve the controversy and the issues that we had downtown. Of course, that passed at the last council meeting, and then at this just past council meeting, the companion ordinance for the definitions and the measurements was passed. So I think that puts us past another milestone of, hey, we had something we had to deal with, and we have dealt with it successfully.
Awesome. Now, we live, of course, in Louisiana, and everybody knows Louisiana as Mardi Gras if you think about New Orleans, but we're in Shreveport. There's a big accomplishment as it relates to Mardi Gras. Share that information concerning Mardi Gras.
When we started off to look at the Mardi Gras season this year, we had two big issues. One, we have fewer police officers available to work the Mardi Gras parades. And the second thing was, because of the calendar this year, we had two major parades that fell on the same day, and the shortage of officers really had an impact there. So at first it looked like we might not be able to have both of those parades on the same day, but with the cooperation of the Lieutenant Governor, with the cooperation of Visit Shreveport Bossier, with the cooperation of the crews, and with the cooperation of the administration, we worked all those kinks out. So Mardi Gras will go on. I think the only really significant difference this year is that it'll start 15 minutes later than it started last year. So as a result of working together and a continuing dialogue, I really would give special thanks to the crew of Centaur, to the Lieutenant Governor's office, and to Visit Shreveport-Bossier.
So Mardi Gras is going to be amazing once again this year in Shreveport.
It will be amazing, and the contracts for the parades other than Centaur and Gemini are now on the council docket. They're basically the same as the other contracts. A little bit, they are a little bit less of a problem because the parades are more localized and are not as large.
I got you. So the last thing we want to get into as relates to accomplishments, many people know the name that is coming to Shreveport. I'm going to let you explain and talk more about it. There's a building that one of the rappers and artists in the industry by name of 50 Cent is coming to Shreveport. Talk about this great accomplishment of getting him to Shreveport.
Well, early in the year, his name is Curtis Jackson, but nobody knows him by Curtis
Right.
Jackson. Everybody knows him as 50 Cent. And 50 Cent contacted us and wanted to meet with us. He is very interested in Millennial Studios, which the city owns, to use it for television production primarily. He has a number of production contracts where he is obligated to produce a number of television series. So it's not just a wing and a prayer. He actually has a plan that he's going to be implementing with Millennial. We began discussing that with him and how we might come to an arrangement, and we have come to an arrangement. There are a few little things we're still working on, the details, but at least the lease is in front of the council, and hopefully the council will approve it on December 12th. The lease, if they do, the lease will become effective January 1st. He'll do some modifications to the building itself, and then they should start production. I know part of the delay had to do with the writers and actors strike. That's over now, and so he should be able to get into high gear pretty quickly during 2024. We're very excited for that. We think it's an opportunity to bring the creative staff that was here, say, in late 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, to bring those people back to Shreveport and form the basis not just for production at his studio, but form a basis for production for other videos and films.
So what does that mean for the citizens of Shreveport? Are they able to be a part of these TV shows or movies? How does that work?
Well, in any of these, and being a part of them entails a lot of things. They need carpenters, they need electricians, they need all those things, all those lists of things in the credits that nobody knows what they do. They need all of those people.
That go pretty fast when you're trying to look at
it. They do. So you'll have the background people, but every production needs extras and small-scale actors and people like that. So it is very important. There'll be a lot of different roles. A lot of this is gig economy in that you aren't necessarily an employee, but you know, if you have a gig after a gig after a gig after a gig, well, then you have a career. And that's what we're hoping will occur with many of these people.
So some amazing things are happening in Shreveport. And of course, I want to ask you, what has been your favorite part about being a mayor, the mayor rather, of Shreveport?
The people. It's real easy. I love being out with the people. I love going to events. People seem to appreciate very much that I'm able to attend so many events and see so many people. I have a tremendous relationship with the personal staff here. I have a great personal staff. They keep me uplifted. You know, if I have a bad day, and I do, there are people that lift my spirits, and that's important. And then if they're having a bad day, hopefully that's a good day for me. So I'm able to lift their spirits. We have built a very good team, and working with the people to try and solve the issues and move Shreveport forward is really the most rewarding thing about being the mayor of Shreveport.
Now, we've known you to be a touchable mayor. How important is that to be accessible to the people and the citizens of the city?
I think the people really want to be able to touch their mayor, and they want to be able to see their mayor. They want the mayor to attend events, and you get a different feel from being at an event with people than you do reading about it or just knowing about it. And so people ask me, well, why are you on such and such a place so often? I said, the reason is they invite me. And I don't turn down a lot of invitations. I have to turn down some because there's only one of me.
Yes.
And occasionally I have to have a night off. But most of the time I'm able to go to these events. At least I can go for a short period of time. People appreciate it, and I learn a lot from the people when I'm out at those events.
Wow. So you've discussed and shared your accomplishments. And with all things, you have some challenges. What has been your biggest challenge, you would say, in your first year as mayor?
The biggest frustration has been the number of homicides that we've had. That you can't hide behind that rock. It's there. Yeah. It's been frustrating to me that we have a set of circumstances that has caused a lot of young people to engage in gunfire, and they have killed a lot of people. It slowed down a little bit the last half of the year. We were on a really pretty awful pace for the first half of the year. It slowed down in the last half of the year. It's still unacceptable to me. We're working with the Real-Time Crime Center. We're working with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, the Drug Enforcement Agency, to try and find out who the real culprits are behind this and to try and get them behind bars. And I think we'll be successful for that, but it's not something that you get to do in a very quick time. We didn't get to the circumstances that created this immediately, and we won't get out of the circumstances that created it immediately either. Each one of those kind of takes a piece of my soul out of me, and those are the hardest things to deal with, because one, you can't say a whole lot because they're all open investigations, and so you have to make sure that you're not interfering with the police and their investigation. But at the same time, it's very disheartening, and I feel for the people whose families are affected by the violence.
Indeed, indeed. So there's been several meetings, bond meetings. Tell us what specifically is a bond and why is it important for our city?
Bonds, what a bond does, a bond is a promissory note. And a promissory note says we're going to loan you money and then you're going to use it for specific purposes. In this case, it's for infrastructure improvements in our city. We have not had a significant bond issue in the city of Shreveport since 2011, which means we haven't made the kinds of investments in our infrastructure, roads, streets, water and sewer. We haven't made the kind of investments that a city needs to make on a regular basis. And you do that by passing a bond issue that says we're going to take this money that we're going to borrow. We're going to repay the money by property taxes. And through the process of that, we're going to rebuild our infrastructure. We're going to get our infrastructure up to snuff, so to speak, so that we're able to travel on our roads and not knock our tires out of alignment and do those kinds of things. So when you've gone, by the time we do this, we will have gone 13 years without a significant bond investment in streets and drainage, particularly streets, and our streets are beginning to show it. So we have got to spend some money on that. It's an investment in the future of Shreveport. If you don't make those kinds of investments, then your city looks worse and worse. Your travel arteries look worse and worse. You have greater traffic tie-ups, and it's harder to get from place to place.
So is there one bond, or there are bonds for each district?
Well, there'll be bonds in different categories. It won't be an all or none. We're trying to look at it now between 3 and 5 different propositions. The bond committee, we appointed a committee of 14 members who were appointed by each of the 7 council members, and then I appointed 6 people to the committee so that we'd have the possibility of a consensus of the community to say these are what our needs are, these are what our priorities are. And we did not give them a start. We gave them information to start with, but we did not come in and say, this is our recommendation. We really wanted the recommendations to come up from the bottom up, not from the top down. And when they're finished with that, then and they're in the last stages of their decisions, we'll be meeting with members of the City Council to get some final information and to find out particularly like neighborhood streets that need to be included in this bond issue. So hopefully we'll have a united council behind it, and then a united committee to say we're ready to make this investment in the city of Shreveport.
So who makes the final decision? Is it a vote from the council, or do the citizens vote? How does this bond get passed?
It's a little bit of both. In order to put it on the ballot, the council has to vote. So the council will make a vote. The council will make some kind of a resolution that says that these taxes will be used for these projects. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a social contract between the council and the citizens. It says, if you give us this money, this is what we're going to use it for, to preserve some accountability for those funds. Then they're put into propositions, a series of propositions, and the voters would vote on those. Tentatively, we are shooting for April 27th, so that the voters would vote on those yes or no on each of those propositions. And whatever passes, we will immediately start to work to get done. With the bond issue, it's a little different. If you have a street, you don't have the funds to design the street, so you don't necessarily have what we've referred to recently in government as shovel-ready projects. So most bond issues are not shovel-ready. They have to be designed before they can be put into place. So there is a lag. The good part of that lag is any tax increases lag with that lag, and so you have a few years where you don't have the tax increases. But then when you're ready to move, then you could sell the bonds because you know that you're going to be able to do those projects in the short term.
So there was at one point 4 police substations as part of the bond, and now it looks like there's 2. Can you explain why it went from 4 to 2?
Well, it's really 4 to 3.
4 to 3.
We have, because the plan is that the main station is itself a substation. So there were going to be 3 in addition to that. Each of those had set aside $1.5 million in the 2021 bond issue. Based on what we're seeing as a result of inflation after COVID and other things, we're not going to be able to build those, to acquire the land and build those for $4.5 million. So we've identified 2 sites, and we want to move forward with those 2 sites, and then we'll be looking for a 3rd site. I do not think that 3rd site will be in the bond package, so we'll be looking for other dollars as a means of coming up with that 4th site.
Awesome. This is great information. So what goals do you have for 2024 for the city of Shreveport?
Well, the first one would be get a bond issue on the ballot, and then the priorities for that will be to move on those bond propositions as quickly as possible, to begin to get shovels in the ground, so that the people will see the progress that they voted for. There was some delay between in 2011. There was delay in 2021. We'll have some inevitable delay, but we want to make as little as possible and really move forward. We're looking at what alternatives we might have to including the hiring of a third-party manager to help with managing these projects. You know, what we do day to day is we take care of the day-to-day needs of the people. And we don't necessarily have project managers on staff to work these projects. And because we haven't done a lot of projects over the last 13 years, we really have lost some of our expertise in that. So we're going to be seeing what we can do to move that quickly. Seeing continued progress on crime will be important. And then continuing some efforts. I have some legislation that I hope to present in the area of blight lien and other attacks on blight. We need to declare war on blight in the city of Shreveport and put every tool in the toolbox that we have and learn how to pick them up and use them.
Wow. So there's something, are you going to do a state of the city of any sort?
I will do a State of the City address after the first of the year. It'll be kind of a combination of speaking and video, so that, you know, sometimes a State of the City address is good for falling asleep at night, and we hope to make this one a little bit more enlivening, so that people will listen to the whole of it.
So that's all we got for today, but you have an amazing button on your jacket. It says, "I love Shreveport."
I do.
Why do you love Shreveport so much as the mayor of City of Shreveport?
Well, I love the people of Shreveport, and I think we have all the factors that we need in this city to make a great city. I think we spend a lot of time apologizing for ourselves and focusing on the negative things in the city of Shreveport. Yes, we have some issues. Every city our size has issues, and most of the issues that cities our size have are the same ones that we have. So we're not any worse off than any other city, and we need to concentrate on the things that are good. Look at the improvements in our schools. Look at our infrastructure. It's easy to get from one place to another in Shreveport. We have fabulous restaurants and entertainment centers in Shreveport. We have good shopping in Shreveport. Everything you need for a really balanced, wonderful, fulfilling life exists in the city of Shreveport, and we need to concentrate on that and let us be proud of where we live. That's not to say that we ignore the things we need to work on, but let's be proud of the things that we have and the city that we live in.
Well, we appreciate you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the citizens of Shreveport?
No, I'm just happy to be your mayor. I'm honored to be your mayor, and I look forward to another year of service.
Well, thank you for your vision. Thank you for your hard work as the mayor of the city of Shreveport. And again, thank you all for tuning in to this special edition of Love Shreveport Podcast.